Hello. Now, today we are going to be talking again about parallel and perpendicular lines. So this is exactly the same parallel and perpendicular that we've talked about repeatedly in this chapter already. So there's nothing really new here today. I'm just going to show you the questions in the style that you're going to get them in this particular type of question. So again, our symbols for parallel, two vertical lines, so two lines going in the same direction next to each other are parallel. And perpendicular is where we have our right angle, where we have our, looks like a t-square upside down, or a capital T upside down. Now, what I have done is given us the equation of a line here. So this is our blue line in the left-hand side of the screen, and we have our equation of that line is 4x minus 2y plus 14 is equal to 0. And the first question I've asked is, find the equation of the line through the point A parallel to K. So we have a line K, and then we're going to look for a line parallel to K that goes through this point down here, bottom left hand corner of the screen, the point A. So my first job is going to be to get the coordinates of A, and we are going to start at the origin as we always do, and we're going to go in the door, and in this case down the stairs. So in the door 2, down the stairs 6. So we're going to do 2 minus 6. Starting at the origin, in the door 2, down the stairs minus 6. So we're going to go down 6 places. So that's my coordinates of the point A. So that's the point given to me in the question. So A is at 2 minus 6, and I'm asked for the equation of a line. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go to page 18 in my log tables. So page 18 in my log tables or formula tables. Whenever I see the equation of the line, and I'm going to write down y minus y1 is equal to m on x minus x1. This is the equation of the line again from page 18 in my log tables. Now, what I am looking for then is to be able to sub into this equation, because I'm looking for the equation of my line, so I need to use this formula. Now I've got a point on the line because I'm told A is on the line, so that's going to be my x1 and y1, but I don't have an m. I don't have my slope. But I am given enough information to figure it out, because I know that the line is parallel to K. Now what does parallel mean? That means the slope of K is going to be the same as the slope of the line that I am looking for. So if I find the slope of the line K, it will give me my missing slope, and I need to be able to know that for exam style questions. So let's start with the line K and get its slope. 4x minus 2y plus 14 is equal to 0. We need to rearrange this into the form y is equal to mx plus c. Whenever we're given an equation in a exam style question, it'll often be helpful to turn it into the form y equals mx plus c. You've practiced doing that lots at this stage. So we want to get y by itself. That's our aim, to have 1y is equal to everything else. So let's rearrange our formula. We're going to subtract 4x. We don't want the x's here, so we're going to subtract 4x from both sides. We're going to subtract 14 from both sides, so that we're left with the y by itself on the left-hand side. So our next line is going to be 2y minus 2y is equal to minus 4x minus 14. And then we can divide both sides by minus 2. Now what does that mean? It means everything on the left and everything on the right gets divided by minus 2. So minus 2 divided by minus 2 here is going to leave me with 1y, which is what I want. And here I have minus 4x all over minus 2 minus 14 all over minus 2. Both things get divided by minus 2. So y is equal to minus divided by minus is plus. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I get plus 2x. Minus divided by minus is plus. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So this is the rearranged equation of the line K. So that's my information about the line K. What can I read off about this information? I can tell that the slope of K is 2. The number in front of X is my slope, and it crosses the y-axis, y-crossing. The y-crossing happens at 7. And if I look at my blue line here, I could do this from the picture as well. I can see that I cross my y-axis at the point at 7 on the y-axis, and if I look at the slope, if I take any nice point where it crosses the grid, if I go across, or sorry, if I rise by 2, I go across by 1. So my slope is rise over run 2 over 1. So my slope, more completely, I could write as 2 over 1. Now, I now have enough information because I know that the slope of K is going to be the same as the slope of the line I am looking for. So I know the slope of my line that I'm looking for. I'm going to have it going through the point A. There's a 2 minus 6. It's a comma. And I know its slope is going to be 2 over 1 because it is parallel to the line K. The slopes must be equal when we have parallel lines. So now we can sub into our formula. Y minus y1 is equal to m on x minus x1. Subbing into that formula. Always put everything in brackets. And this is a good example of why. We could easily end up saying that that was minus 6, but it's going to end up being plus 6. 2 on x minus, x1, y1. So minus 2. Working that out, I get plus 6 is equal to 2x. So multiply what's outside the bracket by each thing inside. So 2 by x, 2 by x, and 2 by minus 2. So I end up with 2x minus 4. Now I want to get the y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. And I get y is equal to 2x minus 10. And I'm going to sketch that line for you now, just to, so we can talk about it for a moment. Now we've got that line drawn in for us. It's the red line here. Now again, reading this information, we have it in the form y equals mx plus c. So m, the slope, is 2. And we can see that if we have a slope, if we go across by, if we rise by 2, we go across by 1. So we are following we have the correct slope, and minus 10 tells us where we cross the y-axis, and we can see we're crossing at minus 10 here. And we can also see that our line goes through the point 2 minus 6, it goes through the point A. And if we look at our two lines here, they are running parallel to each other. So that is our first line dealt with. And my sketch is not perfectly accurate, but it's pretty good. So now we are going to go on to our equation of our line through the point B that is perpendicular to the line K. So if we know that the line K has a slope of 2 over 1, and we know that this line is going to be perpendicular to K, therefore the slope of the line that we want, we flip the fraction upside down. Flip the fraction upside down, so 2 over 1 becomes 1 over 2, and then it becomes negative because it was positive. So flip the fraction upside down and change its sign, and that gives you the slope of a line perpendicular to another line. So if we know the slope of K is 2 over 1, which we found in the previous part of the question, then we know that the slope of the line we're looking through B is going to be flip that upside down, flip 2 over 1 upside down and change its sign, and we end up with a slope of minus a half. So we know the slope is minus a half, and we know the point is going to be, let's find out our point here. We start at the origin, we go in the door 10 and up the stairs 7. So 10, 7, in the door 10, up the stairs 7. Now we have our 10, 7 is our point, so that's our x1, y1, and we're looking for the equation of a line, so we have y minus y1 is equal to m on x minus x1. So now we are able to sub into that formula, so we have y minus everything in brackets 7 and m, which is minus 1 all over 2, x minus x1 is 10. Now I don't want this fraction, so what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply everything on both sides by 2 by the denominator. So everything on both sides is going to get multiplied by 2, and I'll have 2 divided by 2 is going to leave me with 1, so I'll get rid of my fraction, and I'll be left with 2y minus 14, multiply everything by 2, is equal to, the minus 1 is still there, on x minus 10. And then I have to multiply minus 1 by each thing inside the bracket, so 2y minus 14 is equal to minus x plus 10 because minus by minus is plus. Now I want to rearrange this so it's in the form y equals mx plus c. So I'm going to add 14 to both sides because I don't want the 14 over here. I want y by itself. I want to end up with 1y is equal to everything else. So I have 2y is equal to minus x plus 24. And then I want to divide both sides by 2, everything on both sides by 2. So I end up with y is equal to minus a half x. And then 24 divided by 2 is 12. And I'm going to draw in that line for you. Now, I have that drawn in, and I've also resketched my red line because it was slightly off. So this is my line perpendicular to K. The line dropping down here, the only line that has a negative slope, is dropping down here. It's going through the point B, and you can see that it is perpendicular. It is perpendicular to our line K. There's a right angle there, and you can also see that it's perpendicular to the first line that we worked out, which was the line through A, and that makes sense. These two lines are parallel to each other, so a line going through one of them perpendicularly should also be perpendicular to the other. So we can see that we got what we would expect there. So we have again our perpendicular line has a slope which is flipped upside down and change the sign. A parallel line is going to have exactly the same slope. So I'm going to write that in for you. So for perpendicular lines, we flip the slope upside down and change the sign just like we did here. 2 over 1 became minus a half. So flip the fraction and change the sign. And you can again see in terms of reading our graph that we cross the y-axis at 12. We can see that we cross the y-axis at 12 over on the left hand side of the screen, and then our slope is minus a half. So if we rise minus 1, that means we're going to drop 1. We go across, we run across 2. So minus 1 of a rise, 2 of a run. Minus 1 of a rise, 2 of a run. Reading from right to left as we always do. And that's what we need to be able to do for our parallel and perpendicular lines.